Yes YouTube, welcome back to another video and thanks for joining me. Since today's video we're finally going to be doing over the fire-belly toads paludarium. I've got some new aquatic plants and some terrestrial plants, as well as a few little changes I'm going to make here and there. So that's something interested in, you want to check out the fire-bellies and their enclosure, and that's all coming up right after this. Now, God, I can't get my words out today. And welcome back. So we're going to be looking at my fire-belly toad paludarium today. For those who've been following the channel for a while, you'll know it houses my 4 fire-belly toads. I've got 2 males and 2 females, and we recently added fish into this enclosure as well. And I'll leave the link to that down in the description if you want to check that video out. We added some golden white cloud minnows in here a couple of weeks ago. We did have 5. Excuse me. But unfortunately one passed away not long after we added them, which, as you keep fish will probably know, it can be quite expected to lose a fish when you first add them into an aquarium. Not always, but it isn't uncommon. But the rest of the fish are doing really well, and they are sort of demonstrating breeding behaviour at the moment. But I'm going to keep a close eye on them. If it turns out that this doesn't work out in this tank, I'll happily remove them and add them into another tank. What the last thing I want to do is have the fish or the frogs suffer. Now generally this tank gets a weekly water change anywhere between 50 to 70%, cleaned on the glass, and that is about it. It is bioactive, so there are springtails in there. I do top those up from time to time because I imagine they do get eaten by the frogs occasionally. But once a year or once every 9 months or so, I'll do a proper clean on this tank, and all that involves is there's an internal aquarium filter in there which powers the waterfall as well as filters the water, but there's only mechanical filtration in there, just a sponge. I am going to look to add a canister filter on there at some point and try and work out how we're going to do that with a mesh lid. But that'll be coming up in a separate video anyway, because this tank isn't the easiest to access the filter, because I have to build a land area over the filter at the time, and then every time I want to remove it, or maintenance or anything like that, I have to remove the land area to get at the filter, which isn't ideal. It's only a small section, but it probably wasn't the best way of designing it, but it was my second enclosure I ever made, and I'll probably learn from that in the future. So we're going to do a deep clean on it today. We're going to cover the filter, maintenance on that. I want to have a general clean of the glass. We'll have a trim around of the plants, because as you might see, the creeping fig is starting to go aquatic and is going down into the water with root systems, which is fine, but I just want to tidy it up, add some more plants, and get this looking as nice as we possibly can for the frogs. But that's about it, and I think that's enough of me waffling on for now. You probably will just want to see the enclosure, see the frogs. Let's go. Okay, so now we've removed the fire bellies and the fish. I don't always do this, but it just makes it that much easier to get this work done. As you can see, the creeping fig's starting to grow up the back wall like we wanted to, but we're getting some spiders, so we're trying to tackle that. But it's also then growing down into the water, and it's actually sprouting out roots and turning a bit aquatic, to be fair, but I'm probably going to trim those back, and then we'll add those back in to the main plant, just to thicken it out a little bit. But I kept the fire bellies and the fish, so the fire bellies are in here. Trying to climb out. What are you doing? And I just added some damp paper towels in there for them, keep the humidity up. And also we've got the fish in there. So they should be all right in there for the time being. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and remove this land area. As you can see, this got behind here. All that is eco earth. So we need to get all that out. As you can see, the land area there is covering the filter. So I can remove that section, which is only this one. I don't know if you can make it out, but just the bit sticking out there, that needs to be removed, and then we can access the filter. So I'm going to crack on and do that now, and then we start thinking about planting and tidying this thing up. Okay, so we have emptied it. It still needs another water change, but I'm going to fit it up first, and I tend to do daily water changes per week, and then they'll clear up. But a little trim of the plants, looks a bit tidier, and I've taken some aquatic plants from some of my other setups. So we've got some Anubias, we've got some Bruce Philandra, wavy green. I think we got, where else have we got in here actually? We've got some Bulbitis. And we've got some Morimo moss balls. So if you haven't seen that video how I made those moss rocks, then I'll leave the link down in the description if you want to go make those yourself. We can probably make a few more. So we've started adding the aquatic plants in there. Now I just want to do a couple of things before we carry on, just so I can make sure I use the plants in the most efficient way possible and try and use as many as we can. Because they are from some of the emptier setups that have just been wound down, or from some of the beta fish tanks as well. Obviously they're no longer with us. So first of all, there's a little land section there which does get submerged by water, so it doesn't tend to do very well with aquatic plants or terrestrial plants because it doesn't quite suit either. So what I thought I'd do is just cover it with this piece of slate, and what we'll do is we're going to glue. I've got some Christmas moss left from a previous project you haven't seen yet, and you probably won't see till next Christmas. And also as well, I did have some Monte Carlo that I took from Bruce's old tank, which is still going. Now, I don't know whether the Monte Carlo would survive in those sort of conditions on its own, so I thought I'm going to glue some moss to it and try the Monte Carlo as well, because it'll just give it some variety. If it doesn't work, the moss will grow over it. As well as then I just want to add a few more rocks into these are just river pebbles I've collected myself. And I just want to add a little bit more area for the fish to be able to swim around, hide in spaces and that sort of thing. And we'll probably do some more moss rocks. And if you want to know how to do that in a bit more detail, I'll leave the link for that video up here, or here, one or the other, it'll be there. So why don't we crack on and get this done. So I think this is looking a lot better. We've added an extra bit of hiding space, obviously for the fish to hide away a little bit, because they are showing some breeding behaviour, so there's a little bit of regression in it from time to time, but they seem fine overall. Obviously, if we break the why can't I get my words out? If we can break the view lines for the fish, then hopefully that'll diffuse that a little bit. But we've added a lot more Nubius, some wavy green in there, and the bulbitis, I'm not sure how it's going to work out because it's half submerged. Well, it will be when it's filled up, so that's just an experiment. We'll see how that goes. We have obviously done some more moss rocks, and I'm quite happy with the way that little panel out there has turned out, so hopefully that'll grow out a little bit, and I might add a little bit of moss around the edge just to soften sort of where it starts and where the water starts. God, I can't get my words out today. But looking a lot better. So we might add some more aquatic plants now, but what I'm going to do is tackle the terrestrial plants. So I want to take the Komodo grass out of there, and I also want to add the baby tears in, so we'll probably move those grasses, add the baby tears in, see how it looks, see where else needs adding, and then we'll crack on with today's video. So we've finally finished. It probably doesn't seem that long when you watch a video like this, and it probably is quite a long video by now. Who knows if I haven't edited it yet. But it just took about 4 hours to do, so by the time we emptied it out, had a full clean, removed the filter, removed the land area, had a general clean around, obviously cleaned down the glass, got rid of some cobwebs, and then obviously plantings. We've added a lot of the spare plants I had lying around, so like things like just mainly epiphyte plants like Anubias, Java fern, wavy green, Bucephalandra. So they're all looking really nice now. We did add the baby tears back in, which I'm really happy about, but they haven't actually grown up to the light yet, so they're not looking the best. Probably looking a little bit limp, but they should grow in a couple of days. But I'm really happy with this other little sort of rocky area. Now we might reduce some of the swimming space, but I think it'd probably benefit them the amount of fish that's in here. Obviously, if I feel like they need a bit more swimming space, I'll remove it. But at the moment, I think it looks really nice, especially it catches your eye as soon as you walk through the door. But since cleaning the filter out, I probably had this filter for about 10 years, it's a little bit noisy now I've cleaned it, so hopefully that'll die down now as it gathers a little bit more bacteria and a little bit more mess, I suppose. Usually it just gathers eco-earth, which sort of slows the flow down. But like I said in the past couple of videos, I'm probably going to add a canister filter on here. I'm thinking of adding the Awase 100 on here, which is the Filto Smart, I think. So we'll probably add that on, and I don't know how that's going to happen, but that'll be a video for the future. But the water's starting to clear up now, so I think it's perfect time to get the frogs and the fish back in, and I'll rejoin you in a little bit. So finally we are done. The frogs are back in, the fish are back in, everything's looking a lot better. Well, I think so anyway. I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. But obviously, as always, I'd love to know what you guys think and leave your comments or any suggestions in the comment section below as well. But I think this is looking a lot better now. One of the big projects I want to get out of the way, and they was due for a deep clean, mainly around the filter and things, but like I said, we'll address that in future videos. Now the plants haven't sort of risen up to the light quite yet, so not looking the absolute best. So I'll probably come back in a week or two and do an update on this tank, just so you can see how it's looking, and we'll go over any progress or any changes it's going to make. I still had some aquatic plants left over, which I've just dumped in one of my plant bins for the time being. So I might add some more as we go along, but as always, I'll keep you updated. As always, I appreciate any support you can show me. Just by watching this video, you're supporting this channel. But if you can do me a massive favour, make sure you're already subscribed. If you're not, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out any future videos. As well, if you're a regular viewer, if you do me a massive favour and do what you do and smash that like button, leave me a comment to show YouTube you're enjoying this sort of content and allows me to make more videos like these. Obviously, we're looking at the Fire Bellies today, hence the Fire Bellies t-shirt. So if you want to go and check out my merch, not just channel merch, there is channel merch, but we also got some reptile keeping t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, that sort of thing, as well as fish keeping stuff. So if that's something interesting, go and check it out. And as I said, any of the proceeds go back into this room to make this channel better for you, for the animals, and for me. Woo! But now we've got that job out of the way, I was holding plants in the ADA30 seed for this tank, so now that's empty. I'm going to start cleaning that down, getting it out, and we'll start to scape that. As well, I've been playing around with a little Duoterra scape. I've found a little bit of hardscape, which I'm probably going to use. That's all to come, as well as I'm still waiting on the ball python's runner to come. It is on its way, and then we'll be starting the full bioactive setup on that. And then there's a list of projects to come, as well as doing things to improve the lives of these animals, improving the care that we give to them. So that's something interesting, and this is sort of content you enjoy, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.